just be honest, a lot of cool shit came out in 1997, myself included, but also the film George of the Jungle, which is a classic. If you did not have the good fortune to grow up watching this film or have not seen it, I pity you in the least condescending way that I can. Tea time with me, Liesl. Why are we talking about George of the Jungle? Why am I dressed in inspiration of Ursula from George of the Jungle? Why am I drinking this white tea in homage to that one line that Lyle has about making a joke, something where he says, yeah, bartender, I'll have 2 black Russians and a white ape. It's white tea. You get it. Why am I talking about George of the Jungle? Well, I'm actually not talking about George of the Jungle. I'm talking about this one very specific scene in George of the Jungle that includes my favorite song of all time, Dela by Johnny Clegg. So yes, I'm actually talking about Johnny Clegg. Also, I feel like I need to just mention real quick that since we had the VHS of George of the Jungle growing up and I didn't see Tarzan until I was like 13, I fully believed that Tarzan was a ripoff of George of the Jungle. So this one scene where George and Ursula dance around the fire, it is so sweet, so romantic. It truly, that's what dreams are made of. And as a child, those are my standards. My standards for men were set very early on in life by Brendan Fraser and George of the Jungle. If you're not kind to animals and just a genuinely sweet fellow who talks to birds, I'm sorry, I just can't. Anyway, during that fire dance scene, the song Dela by Johnny Clegg plays, and it is truly just one of the sweetest, best songs ever. So, cut to this August of 2022. I'm listening to my brother Cooper's 80s feel-good playlist, and the song comes on, and I was like, oh my god. I had forgotten about it until that moment, and then I was like, oh my god, this is the song that plays in George of the Jungle. I love this song. This song unlocked something deep in my memory. And then so I was listening to that on repeat, and then I was like, oh, this song is so good. I'm sure this fella has a bunch of other good songs. So I started listening to more of his music, and I was like, oh, this whole album is good. But I was only listening to the Greatest Hits album, and then I was like, wait, hold on. There are other albums. I listened to all of the albums, and then I started doing a little bit of research. I was like, who is this fella? Who is this Johnny Clegg? And what's his story? His story's really cool. So he was born in England, but his mom moved him and her they moved to South Africa, and he actually grew up in South Africa during apartheid, and his mom was a cabaret singer, and his dad was a journalist who was super anti-apartheid because apartheid sucked, to put it very mildly. So he grew up in and amongst this culture. He learned the Zulu language. Then he met a buddy, Sifo Mchunu. Please correct me if I'm saying that wrong. So they became buddies. He taught Johnny all of this cool, all of the instruments, all of the different musical styles of the Zulu people, and so then they formed a band, Jaluka, and so then they came out with their album Universal Man, which is a really good album, but because they were an interracial band, the radio in South Africa wouldn't play any of their music. But they became an underground hit, circulating their music by performing in live venues and just being here, take a CD. And then after Sifu moved, he left Johannesburg, and then Johnny started his next band, Savluka, and then then his journey continued, and then he was also a solo artist. He toured with Give me a higher love. What is that guy's name? Steve Winwood. He toured with Steve Winwood. He was the opener for Steve Winwood. His music combines all of this like fantastic, like it combines like 80s Euro pop with Zulu music in a way that was just so cool and amazing. And it broke down barriers and it like showed people like, hey, we're all in this together. And his music is so cool because it combines all of these awesome like political messages that are all of these amazing anti-apartheid messages, but it also just sounds so happy. All of his music is just so joyful and it's so like life affirming and just makes you feel really, really good. And I love it so much because I think it really shows that friendship and music and art and politics, it doesn't have to be this like, well, I'm going to be a politician now and blah 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 blah. Like it can be this joyful thing to break down barriers and like cultural and socioeconomic and, you know, all of the big political-y words that I can think of. It can break things down and make everybody happy. Because you know what? We're all in this thing together and everybody deserves to be happy and everybody deserves to be loved and to find joy and peace and to live the life that they want. Also, he like literally at one of his concerts, Nelson Mandela got up on stage and sung with him. Like he literally sang with Nelson Mandela. I've asked a lot of people, have you heard of Johnny Clegg? And they're like, no. But he's so cool. And I feel like he's such a great, like he was a humanitarian. He like, helped with philanthropic like stuff during the AIDS crisis. Like he was freaking awesome. And we should all try to be a little bit more like him. We should use joyful art and friendship to make the world a better place. Oh, I have to just, to close off, I realized I didn't bring this up earlier, but the song Dela. So I was looking this up, like what the lyrics meant, because half of the lyrics of the chorus are in Zulu. And basically it means to be like fully content and to have found your heart's true home. And then the rest of the chorus is like, come closer, I found my heart's true home. So it's all about like being completely content and to have like, it's so good. I think it would make like the perfect first dance at a wedding song. Just my opinion. Also, hot take, first dances at weddings should be fast songs. But yeah, Johnny Clegg, look him up, listen to his music. On Spotify, my playlist for it is Johnny Clegg, King of Happy Songs, and I've got some of my favorite songs from all of his different bands, his solo work. What a fella. Truly. What a man. Here's to Johnny Clegg, everybody. Oh, I pulled out two. Well, I'll read you both of them. They're so different. Okay. I wrote Piano Girl, crossed out piano, and then wrote violin. So Violin Girl, more she learns, song more. She learns about mother plus grandmother. I know exactly what that means. It's a short story that I started writing where she's learning to play the violin. And the deeper into this song that she learns, it's like this song that her mother played on the violin for her to help her fall asleep, the more she understands about her mother and her mother's backstory. I need to finish that short story. That's actually a really good idea. This one, I wrote, ND filter, blocks out certain rays of sun. Like sunglasses, keeps it from getting overexposed. This is just a note about a particular filter that you put on camera lenses. I learned that and I wrote it down. There you go. Those are you got 2 thoughts from the tin today. Lucky you. And you got a really solid movie recommendation if you haven't watched George of the Jungle, and a ridiculously solid music recommendation. If you like happy music, who doesn't? Listen to Johnny Clegg. That's the tea. Thanks for listening. If you liked what you... Oh my goodness, excuse me. If you liked what you heard or saw, or would like some more tea, subscribe and follow and you'll have more tea from me soon. Thank y'all.